The building that is now home to the Cape May Point Arts and Science Center was originally built and utilized as the Shoreham Hotel starting in 1881. In 1909, it became the summer retreat home known as St. Mary's by the Sea for the Sisters of St. Joseph, based in the Philadelphia area. Thousands of sisters, priests, and directors have experienced the peace, healing, and joy that come from quiet reflection provided by a setting of nature at the seaside. Except for the brief period of World War II, when the facility was loaned to the U.S. government, the sisters operated and maintained the buildings and grounds until the COVID pandemic. In 2022, the building was purchased by the Mullock family and became home to the Cape May Point Arts and Science Center. In 2025, some of the sisters who retreated and worked at St. Mary's House by the Sea were interviewed at their residence, St. Joseph's Villa in Flourtown, Pennsylvania, while others were able to return to the house for 3 days of fellowship and to share their memories. The Sisters of St. Joseph.
I'm Sister Marjorie Lawless, Sister of St. Joseph. I entered the congregation in 1967, so I've been a Sister of St. Joseph for 57 years.
I'm Sister Marie Bambrick. I entered in 1959 from St. Mary's, St. Clair, little coal mining town, where I was taught by the Sisters of St. Joseph.
My name is Sister Eileen McNally. I'm a Sister of St. Joseph from Chestnut Hill. I've been a Sister of St. Joseph for about 58 years now.
My name is Sister Catherine Dolerine Fitzpatrick.
And when did you become a Sister of St. Joseph?
When many years ago. So far, I don't even remember when. But the 1950s, 1950.
My name is Sister Jane McKenna, and I'm entered the Sisters of St. Joseph in 1956.
So I am Sister Pat Gannon, and I entered our community in 1966. So I've been a sister for just about 60 years. And time flies when you're having fun.
Hi, I'm Sister Dot Urban, and I entered in 1963. And it was the time of great change, as you know, in the church and in the world.
I'm Sister Mary Veazey. I entered in 1966 from St. Vincent's Parish in Germantown.
My name is Anna Louise Shuck. I entered in 1951, and we had a class of about 70 at that time.
I'm Sister Georgette Gavioli. I've been a Sister of St. Joseph for 63 years.
My name is Sister Roseanne Tribuani, and I have been in the community since 1971. That would be 53 years now.
Rosemary Elizabeth Pittner.
When did you become a Sister of St. Joseph? In 1951? Does that sound right?
16, whatever the age is that you had to be.
I am Sister Jean Faustman. I entered in 1968.
Hi, my name is Sister Sharon McCarthy. I'm a Sister of St. Joseph, and I have been a sister for 50 years. As a matter of fact, this is my Jubilee year.
I'm Sister Regina Doherty. I entered in 1984. I was 22. I entered right from Chestnut Hill College after I graduated. And so I've been a sister for 41 years.
Hello, I'm Sister Mary Fischetti. I've been a sister for 69 years. I entered in 1956.
Hi, my name is Sister Susan Lininger. I entered in 1973 from St. Jerome's Parish. So last year I celebrate my golden.
My name is Ann Toner, and I entered the Sisters of St. Joseph probably before you were all born in 1948. So I think it's like 75 or 8 years that I've been around. I'm very fortunate. I'm 95. God has blessed me, and I have loved every minute of my being a sister.
I'm Sister Pat Hickey, and I entered in 1961.
My name is Mary Butler, and I entered the Sisters of St. Joseph in 1965, which is 60 years ago, which is pretty unbelievable to me, because I remember when I heard people were in the community 60, 70 years and thought, whoa. So now I'm at that stage. So it's surprising, but I'm glad.
Each Sister of St. Joseph had a unique ministry that became their life's work.
I was a teacher, and then later on as a principal of a few schools, and then even later an instructional coach in the Diocese of Camden. And then of last was administrator at St. Mary's by the Sea. Well, not really at last, because now I work at Bethlehem Retirement Village.
I taught mostly in Philadelphia and in New Jersey for 49 years. And then after I retired from teaching, I went to work at the soup kitchen in Newark. For the last 17 years, I've been volunteering there every day.
I was a school teacher, elementary school and junior high, and then I went on to be DRE.
During the course of my ministry, I've taught many grades, grade school, also an administrator. I was a property manager on several different senior citizen properties. And also my current ministry is a refugee coordinator for the congregation.
I have been a music teacher for 25 years. I teach in 2 Catholic schools in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia.
My ministries with the Sisters of St. Joseph has been a teacher, which most of us were, a principal. I supervised for the Archdiocese for several years in the education department. Went to teach at Gwinnett Mercy University for 8 years. Then I went to Chestnut Hill College to teach for 25 years. And then I continued to volunteer there as well as at St. Joseph Villa. And I volunteer with Lily's Hope, helping preemies, and in our parish with the St. Francis for homeless in Philadelphia.
And I had varied ministries. I was a teacher. I worked in pastoral care at our villa. I worked in parish ministry. And then most of my life was down here at Cape May because I was a spiritual director, and we had a center for spirituality at Chestnut Hill. And I worked there for many, 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 many years. And we were responsible for all the retreats down here. So in the summer, the Center for Spirituality came down here, and we ran all the retreats.
I was a primary teacher for 11 years, and then I went into special education, and I taught at our special ed schools. And then I became a principal up in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And then I went to Sicilian Academy, which was one of our own academies, and I opened a resource room for children with learning disabilities. After that, I became a director of religious education up in Manasquan, New Jersey. And then I went to our Mother of Divine Providence Village, Divine Providence Village, and I'm the pastoral care person there. And I've been there for 18 years.
I've been in Philadelphia for 69 years, actually. I've been in various ministries. I was a teacher, then I became a librarian at St. Jerome's, and then I was asked to be the parish director of services at St. Jerome's, and I did that for 23 years, and then I retired.
After novitiate, and we went out on a mission. I had been teaching since then, and I started 4th grade, eventually got into high school level where I teach mathematics, which I absolutely love. I've been doing high school mathematics for 48 years. So I've been teaching for 58 years now, and I love every minute of it. I have done volunteer work besides Cape May Point, other places that have expanded my repertoire.
So I was a first grade teacher, early childhood teacher, for my first 19 years of ministry. First at St. Jerome's, then I moved on to Holy Savior in Linwood, and then a longer stint in St. Vincent's in Hanover. I left Hanover and went to St. Bridget's in the city, where I finished up those 19 years. So I spent 2 years at St. Joseph Villa, first as a nursing assistant on the floor during the day, and then I took a turn on night duty, which taught me so much about being with the sisters throughout the night. And then when it was time for me to leave, and I finished my graduate work, I finally said yes to a question the community had asked me, and that was to be a Montessori teacher. So I went back to school in New York and was a Montessori trained teacher of 6 to 9-year-olds, and was missioned at Norbury Fontbonne Academy in 1990, and I've been there ever since.
My main ministry had been teaching up until the 90s, 94 or 5, and then I became involved in parish ministry.
I continued to teach first grade on my first missions that I was on, and I taught first grade for about 13, 15 years. And then I went into parish ministry.
Homebound, bereavement in the school, in the parish, working with special needs in the parish, sacramental preparation. And then presently I am the volunteer coordinator at Divine Providence Village in Springfield, Delaware County.
For the most part of my life, I was a teacher. I taught elementary school and high school and at Chestnut Hill College for 30 years. I was also a missionary in Peru for 3 years. I had a leave of absence from the college, and then for 10 summers I returned. And as part of my time at the college, I also was the faculty athletic representative, which I loved. So for 6 years, I was the official liaison for the faculty with NCAA, with our conference from NCAA. I also volunteer in a safe house for women for 16 years now. So that's about it.
I taught first grade, and then I went on to study to be a Montessori teacher. So I continued that for the next 38 years. But the summers, I came here. I became the director of the house.
I guess on paper, and basically, I was a math teacher in high school, but I spent time in Kentucky doing that kind of, what I was doing there was teaching young women enough so that they could take their GED. One African-American lady told me, honey, she said, I don't care about reading, I just want to read my Bible better. They're the kind of things that kind of just touch you.
Each of the sisters remembers the first time they visited St. Mary's by the Sea and the chores they were asked to do to keep the retreat house running smoothly.
In the beginning, because I entered in 48, that was, I guess, a transition from the time that the servicemen had been there and we were just going back. And the biggest thing there was we did a lot of cleaning. We had a very small group. They called them parties, our party. We were just 33. Now, there were 60 after us. You know, I think we were the Depression babies. Truthfully, I'm sure we were. And so that there were not many then. But in the whole junior rate, there were a couple of hundred because as they came after, they were 50s and 60s and 70s, the groups.
My party was 72. The party ahead of me was 110. So most of our parties at that time were in the 70s or 90s. So, and there were 5 parties. So you had maybe 300 some sisters who were all juniors at the same time. And we were all down here.
a couple of us decided to take a trip down to see where the sisters went in the summertime from our high school. So when we drove down here, little did we know, when we turned the corner on Lehigh Avenue, there were about 50 sisters up on the stairs singing. I mean, our jaws just dropped open. We just had no idea this was what they did in the summertime.
We came down, and our first experience was to come down and clean the place for the summer.
My first experience was coming down here from the novitiate on St. John's bus. We were going to clean.
49 of us boarded the bus, a school bus, and were taken to St. Mary for the first time to stay for a month and to open the house, which meant to clean every day until it was ready.
Before we could even start to clean, we'd have to get shovels and get the sand out of the bedrooms because we had no screens on them and the windows were horrible.
We came down to clean.
And we did everything from wiping down the walls, cleaning the rooms, washing the windows, cleaning the screens.
We got to work, hard work really, because we cleaned the whole house.
We had to get it cleaned. The place was pretty much messy.
We cleaned and we cleaned and we cleaned.
And my dad's driving down the street and I'm up on the roof. He's like, "What are you doing up there?" I'm like, "Cleaning windows." "What does it look like?" "Get inside, it's too dangerous." I'm like, "Who else is gonna do it?"
By the time you got to your bedrooms, believe me, you didn't need too much light. You just had to go to bed because you were working hard. It's hard to keep it going.
We were trying to clean this room, and so whatever we did, we blocked the door or we couldn't get out. And it was the funniest thing to try to get out. Don't ask me what we did, but we did something. But it formed for me a lifetime friendship.
And then after that, they put us on the bus and sent us back.
If you came for retreat, I mean, you prayed, you had certain times in the chapel, but it was also a sign-up sheet that you helped before meals, after meals, swept the dining room, volunteered somewhere to do something in the house.
We woke in the morning to the bell and went to morning prayer, to Mass, to breakfast, which I know we had breakfast, but I don't remember going to the dining room and receiving our assignment for the day.
We worked from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. It's just the way it went. Like, you know, we had our shifts.
Usually us assigned to the bathrooms and the dishwasher. And I've done that almost all the time that I volunteered, which makes you wonder why I would want to go back.
And another sister and I were lucky enough to be assigned the laundry. So we got to stay in there all day long, so that way one of us could go out and sun themselves in the backyard while the other one tended to the laundry.
And I loved bathrooms and dishwasher. That was my favorite job, working that machine.
Another weekend we were down, we painted the railings all around the porch. Another time it was all the lattice under the building. And another time it was bleaching the rooms from all of the mold.
I worked here in the chapel and the sacristy, opening her up and closing her down.
We'd spend the week out in the garden, and we had these matching shirts on from someone's, landscaping business, and people would drive up and ask us if they could have our card, and we said, really, we were sisters and just worked on this property. That was more than enough.
No, I remember laughing. I remember being happy. I don't know what cleaning I did. I hope I did some. But I worked in the kitchen, that's right.
And the sisters from the kitchen, super duper Cooper.
We would sit down and plan the meals for the week and make sure we ordered everything, except for the first retreat ever. We were responsible for. Order came in, Mary's getting ready to make chicken for the first retreat. She goes in, forgot to order the chicken. So off to Acme to get 150 chicken breasts.
I peeled the potatoes and did things like that and was very happy. And 2 women did the cooking, and I was the gopher, I guess.
So here I wound up being the cook, and I cooked for like 100 and some, however many were down there all the time. It was very hot, very hot. That was the only drawback, was how hot the kitchen was, but we managed.
The younger sisters would serve the whole dining room, and there were about 200 people there.
Started out as doing salads, pantry, making the desserts and learning how to use those machines that they went crazy. You got all, covered with the, whatever you were making, the lemon or whatever. I mean, towel going into it. I mean, like a lot of funny stories about learning how to use the big equipment.
We didn't have a dishwasher at that time, so how did we wash the dishes? And somebody came out, we remember we would bring up 2 pans of water, one to wash and one to rinse, dry the dishes, and I guess they went right back on the table again.
We just stood back and the people came down and helped themselves, except when we served asparagus, because they would just take, we had to limit it to 4 to a person until after everybody got it, because people loved asparagus.
I just love this place, and I said, I have the privilege of seeing the hidden work of this place. What goes on underneath, what goes on behind the scenes that other people they can imagine, but they can't experience, but I've experienced it.
One of the things I remember very clearly was the workers. Like if somebody got finished ahead of you, the workers always helped one another. Nobody really ever left until everybody just about was leaving.
Everybody had to work together, and that's what made it run so smoothly for all these years.
You sat at that big desk in the lobby?
Yes.
And you took everybody who came in,
yes,
had to register with you?
Yes.
Did you like doing that?
No problem.
Oh, did you like going to Cape May?
Loved it.
What did you like the best?
The Blessed Sacrament in the chapel, the meals, the atmosphere, the ability to go to Cape May in the first place.
Mm-hmm. There were 2 beds in every room. Some bigger rooms had 3 beds in them, but there was also a dormitory on the 3rd floor. And the dormitories, the beds were separated by curtains. And of course, there was no air conditioning.
When I first went down in the hall, there was electricity in the hall, but there was none in the room, so that when we went, we always brought flashlights with us.
You signed in, you were given the lantern, and that's what you used.
And then those of us who were interested in reading would take our rocking chairs out into the corridor. And so that at night it was just a whole long line of people sitting out reading, But that was not a big hardship.
My first experience coming to Cape May, I had never seen the ocean. And I sat in the attic on a straight chair, looking out till at least midnight, because I thought the waves were going to come into the house.
The ocean part wasn't new for me, but it was a wonderful re-entry because I loved it when I was little, and so I was happy to be able to go back every summer.
I fell in love with this place. It was like love at first sight. The inside, the outside, the freedom to walk on the beach and to talk with your friends and to just be in this beautiful rustic place. I thought, oh, I love this. I'm staying. I think I might work here someday.
Later had charge of Cape May for 10 years, which was a delight for me in a sense.
Then I went to St. Mary by the Sea as the administrator.
I would tell them, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And I said, do you get what I mean? You gotta help each other out. And it really helped to build a community among each other. And
everybody that came here, that worked here, whether they were manually working like the kitchen crew or wanted to be here. So that makes a difference when people want to be where they are.
Because coming here was always like coming home.
In 1952, which was the summer after I entered, we went down to Cape May to wash and clean and do anything. And it's there at that time where I fell in love with Cape May.
They were some of the best years of my life.
Like the changing times, the dress codes and habits worn by the Sisters of St. Joseph changed through the years.
I'm part of the group that entered and wore the old habit, and then I was professed in the new habit, and then down here, you know, we used to sit on the porch and meet Reverend Mother, and then we didn't do that anymore. So, I mean, my life in community was a life of change. So, I guess I just got used to it.
That particular year, that was about 1976, it was freezing when we went down. And really we entered with what we had, which was our habit.
And we were in the long habit, the traditional habit. It was very structured.
The full black serge with the cornet and the gamp. Oh yeah, we had the whole outfit. Of course, when we worked, and there have been famous pictures, painted even, of some of the sisters from the photographs in the blue gingham apron without the gamp, because you couldn't work in the gamp. It was hard, and so we would take off the gamp, but we'd be in full habit.
GUIMP is GAMP, in case you ever want the spelling. Not close. And like if we worked and all, we generally took them off.
But I remember when we came down to Cape May, we had habits just for cleaning at Cape May. So we left our good habits at home. And these were mine. By the time I got mine, it was like a green woolen habit, really, just to clean up at Cape May.
But we even enjoyed cleaning together in our blue gingham aprons, tied up, our full habits.
I was received into the modified habit in 1970. Okay. So that's the only habit I ever wore was the below the knee, the, what do they call them, the little earmuffs thing. Of course, the triangle for the Trinity, and the modified veil that was, I guess, just down a little bit below our shoulders.
When I entered, we had the full regalia. But you pinned your skirt up so, you know, you could clean.
First of all, they were hot, and I mind the heat. But, yeah, we had like serge sleeves, under sleeves, as well as those big floppy ones. And, of course, floor length, you know. And we had that white, I'm not sure. I think originally it was linen, but by the time 1948 and so came along, it was kind of a plasticky kind of thing. It was stiff. And I know sometimes they cracked even. I didn't have that experience, but, and very, very hot, because nothing, you know, they were like all here, and they were hot. And then we had the cornet, and that was starched. So that also got a little warm.
Well, we were the first party that got the soft gamp rather than the real hard one, and the faces around here weren't covered. We had ear flaps, as they called them, and long and hot.
We'd go to the beach in our full habit. It wasn't swimming weather yet, but it was still hot.
But there were 200 people here. And so we would, we had sleeves that we wore under the habit, and so we would just like get our hands and up to here suntanned, and our faces to here, because that was the old traditional habit.
And when the rocks were there, we would go out on the rocks with our habits on, because we didn't have bathing suits in the beginning.
And we didn't wear bathing suits, so we would sit out in the sun, and this part of our face would get all red, and the rest of it wasn't. We really looked comical.
We'd go out and sit on the beach and try to get a little sun, and then we'd all come back with sunburn right here, like this. But we had fun.
I think the people respected us. I mean, even when we were young, we were in long habits, we would walk the streets. Well, we filled the streets.
The younger you are, the more changes you like. And as I've learned, as I've grown older, the older we get, change, we think about it twice before we want to jump into it.
I don't remember the year, but that was probably startling when we came down and did not have to wear the habit. We could actually be in other kind of clothes for a while too.
We didn't have the stability, I guess, that the really, really old sisters had. I mean, they were years and years and years living the same life. We didn't. Everything changed. Our prayer life changed, our habits changed, our ministries changed.
Yeah, it was a whole different culture, but one that worked so well for so many years.
The sisters each worked hard at their ministries, but they looked forward to coming to retreat at St. Mary's House for fun and activities.
Some of us would wake up early and we could sit on the side porch and watch the sunrise over Cape May.
We had a wonderful time down there. We worked, but we also played.
You could go out the back laundry door and there were stones that led right to the beach.
We were the group that couldn't go on the beach because of the mines from World War II. So we just sat on the porches or took walks and did things like that.
Because of the mines out on the beach, we never went in the water till years later.
We'd meet out on the beach and, have a chance to talk, because you really couldn't while retreats were going on in the house, because it really was a place of silence and reflection.
To go on the beach was to show your sleeves, that was pretty much in your face. But there were still some rocks and I stubbed my toe and broke my big toe.
Oh, when we first were given permission to have bathing suits on and go out to the beach, we had to wear a triangle on our head. Don't ask us how we tied it on, or a bandana or something. And of course we all questioned it, like, why? But well, we did have it, sure we did. But they said, no, you have to wear the triangle. So we wanted to go to the beach bad enough. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll wear a triangle, whatever it takes to get to the beach.
I remember when we were told we could get a bathing suit from home, that was like, holy cow, we can get a bathing suit again. And being able to go out into the ocean again and just having so much fun.
Then in the afternoon, we could go to the beach and then, go in the water, and I'll still do things like that.
So they asked me to come and to lifeguard here at Cape May, because I was certified for the ocean. And while I was doing that, I also trained quite a few of our sisters to rescue here off the beach. So we were able to have our own little group of Cape May Point lifeguards to guard our own beach during that time.
Our sisters were our own lifeguards, and because I guess the outfits on us and the triangle on our head, there was never a sign on the beach saying private beach, but nobody ever came near our beach. It was like a private beach.
And we both remember August 15th one year, the water was warm, the waves were big, which we absolutely loved. We stayed in the ocean 2 full hours. And we see each other and say, remember that day.
Anybody who knows Cape May Point knows that there was a dangerous drop right here on our beach. And so the lifeguards would, if we waved to them, they would come down, help us out of the water and up over the sand.
To be out there sometimes in the evening, because you could watch the sun set on one side of the beach and turn around, look towards Cape May City and watch the moon rise.
The sunsets and the wonderful fun on the beach that we had.
So it really was a beautiful spot, and there wasn't a whole lot that we wanted to do.
Sometimes if it was even too hot for the beach, take a little afternoon nap, which you didn't do on your missions.
And it was a joy to be there.
Yes, it was.
and just to look out and see the ocean.
And of course, the other wonderful gift is the show of dolphins every day. We would watch the dolphins. Everyone would gather on the porches or on the beach and just watch them play. And sometimes have a birth.
And we would work hard, but we'd go out to the beach and we'd go for long walks. And I enjoyed that so much, just being out and being free to talk to different people and go for long walks with maybe one person that you really wanted to catch up with.
I mean, it was just wonderful. I love the ocean. I'm not a swimmer, but I love the ocean, and I love that area. I just love that. And Marie and I were friends from home, so it was wonderful to also be with each other down the shore in the summertime. I mean, that was like paradise.
Coming here was just such a breath of fresh air.
And the whale watcher.
Yes.
I forget which one offered it, but he let us go on the whale watch ships, yeah, for free. Any sister.
Early on, there was a lot of very competitive softball played in the courtyard. We had some very athletic sisters who really excelled in sports in their high school.
We played baseball out in that yard where Mary is now. Mary wasn't there at that point. It was an open field, so we played baseball. We sang songs. We had fun.
And of course, on rainy days, you would explore every ice cream parlor there was in town.
We also read, we played games, we walked. We did a lot of walking.
I'm a big counted cross-stitch person, so I would spend every afternoon on the upper porch looking out at the ocean and working on my Christmas presents for my family. And
it was a place that really, if you did stitchery or any kind of sewing, that's what I remember coming down because it was cool and well lighted.
Well, they always had a jigsaw puzzle going, and I love jigsaw puzzles. I do them all the time. But playing cards was a big thing. We'd go out and get ice cream, you know, simple type of things, walk down to see the sunset, because it's one of the few places that you can see a sunset on the East Coast.
And most of us would go walking after supper and go down toward the sunset. And that was a delight.
The evening was always the porch. There was just nothing else, you know, that I would ever wanted to do. We'd sit out there and talk and look at the stars and just see how many falling stars that we've seen.
And then at night, you used to play Rummy. You were good at Rummy Cube. Remember that? You won all the time.
Oh, I don't know about winning.
I do, because I played with you.
There's a little game called Mexican Train. They still play that. Oh my gosh, and we would laugh, and then we got too happy, too laughing, so we had to go to the back kitchen, which was hot. So you really had to want to play that game if you were going to play in the back kitchen.
many of us were learning how to play the guitar, so we sang the same songs over and over again.
There really wasn't heat in the chapel. So we were told, Sister Marie Gervais told us that we could come to chapel with an Afghan, a blanket. So here we were, if you could have only seen that sight. Everybody looked like Pocahontas sitting in the chapel as we were praying.
You know, we've played cards at night and told lots of stories.
So at night we'd go up to our rooms, and there were 2 beds at that time in each room because there were like 200 or 300 people here at one time. Our whole novitiate would be here for retreat.
One of the most enjoyable sometimes things that happened in the evenings was when the bats would come flying through. So we would all run into our rooms or grab our towels or come out and try to, you know, lower the bat to get the bat out the window. But the giggling and the laughing that went on, you know, in the rooms around these, again, beautiful creatures of the night was enjoyable. You know, some Some sisters were much more afraid than others.
Up in the attic were always dormitories. We just had curtains around us, and there probably were like 20, 25 of us in the dormitory at that time. And if your partner wanted to go to bed early, you'd sit out in the hallway with a flashlight, either reading or writing postcards home. You know, what a wonderful time we were having at Cape May.
Sister Kathy Duffy, a physicist, and Margie Thompson, an artist, led a retreat one summer that I attended. And we went out and laid on the boardwalk looking at the stars at night. And Kathy would talk about the constellations, and Margie would have us do something artistic around that. And just many retreats that either focused on or led us to something to do with beauty and nature.
One of the little traditions that many of the sisters enjoyed after retreat, the night that retreat was over, was we would meet at Rainbow Ice Cream.
My first experience as a novice and a junior was, gosh, this is fun. This is like a vacation. It's my first vacation since I entered the community.
With its location at the southernmost tip of Cape May Point, storms and weather events have always been part of the memories.
I always found time to go outside if I wasn't assigned to the garden or volunteered to help in the garden. I always found myself wanting to be, outside.
Sometimes, you could sit out on the porch when the rocks were right in front of the house, and you could sit there and the storm would come and the waves would hit the rocks, and the spray would go up so high, but it would hit the roof. So you were perfectly fine sitting there watching this because you didn't get wet, the roof did. Or if you were up on the third floor, you probably got wet.
We were great for going out and watching the storms. It was just something, whatever it was, a curiosity, standing on the edge, up against the wall on the porch, just watching the storm come in, and then know you better get yourself inside because you're a little too close to the water.
It was just the kind of place you could be out, in any kind of weather, any kind of storm, or something like that. If you just were careful enough, you could just watch Mother Nature come by.
In the summer, oftentimes you have your late afternoon storms with the thunder and lightning and all of that, which is fearsome and awesome at the same time. It's just a whole other aspect of nature that's saying, who's in charge here? So sometimes a little bit scary, but, yeah, I've been there for that.
Watching the lightning dance off the water and watching the thunder and the clouds roll in from the porches, it really was a beautiful experience.
Initially, they had Sandy coming to hit here directly, the point.
Right.
And we all prayed, and all of a sudden it went north and hit more of Belmar and all the way up.
Manasquan.
Yeah, Manasquan.
Up that area.
I think it was the storm of '61 when every storm we prayed, Cape Mays, and they pray. But some men came down to the point and they said you could see the storm coming up. But when it came to the house, it just went right around the house. Because we really did not have that much damage.
I always think of the ocean as the heartbeat of God. It's just, constant.
They would always be in touch with different ones of us on staff, especially if it was a tough winter and there were a lot of nor'easters coming up the coast, and like how St. Mary's, is she holding on?
We were sitting on the porch, it was an afternoon, and all of a sudden,
a storm came up.
A real quick storm, and we saw a lightning bolt just shoot right from the sky and hit the cross. And
we all ran inside.
We go, what did we do? We ran inside. But the alarm did go off.
Even when it rains, you sit here and you think, look at the grace God is giving to us all day.
One summer, for whatever reason, the fire alarm kept going off at night. So every time it went off, we had to get up, get everybody out of the house, and the older sisters would always be out there with her pocketbooks. It was like you knew you saw, and then you had to get them off of the porches because then the firemen came and everything. But it just got to be funny, it says but I said I learned to keep my sneakers right by the bed so that I could put my shoes on as soon as it went off.
Because it was like you had the jetties here and the ocean came and actually hit these rocks, you could see the dolphins. The dolphins would come in and they actually birthed their babies right there. And you could see, as you sat there, they would shoot the baby up in the air and we could actually watch it. Now, eventually the ocean went back out again, which was for our benefit. But, I mean, it was really, really close.
The sisters saw nature and spirituality come together in special ways at St. Mary's by the Sea.
I saw the hearts of people. I saw how things were changed in their lives. When that happens to someone you're watching, it affects you too.
The heartbeat, the spirit, the holiness of the place that just took hold of my heart and has been that way for the 30 years that I actively worked on staff.
Always gave me that spark and enabled me to continue doing what I was doing, and just gave me the time that I needed to think and pray.
And I remember it wasn't time yet for final vows, but I remember personally sitting on the bed, one of those little beds at Cape May, and I knew that I was ready to make final vows.
Our retreats were silent, so that for the 7 or 8 days that we were there, we were all in absolute silence, which encouraged the mental spirituality of the thing.
You could sense when you came in here that it was a special place, and this was like 60-some years ago. And I still feel that way when I walk in this door.
It is a place where worries don't exist anymore. Sitting on that porch looking at the expanse of the sky, the ocean.
I was very happy. They were wonderful years.
Did you feel close to God when you were there?
Yes, I did. It was a special place. And yes, it was a gift God gave me. Yes, and it was wonderful.
It's listening to that water at night, the ocean waves rolling up, crashing on the rocks or on lapping on the surf. That's where I find God the most in this setting.
Especially when you're younger, you're learning in religious life. You're learning more about aspects of God and relationship with your Savior, and different ways to pray.
I find it to be a place where, to me, it's kind of like where heaven and nature meet.
It gave us a wonderful pause to think of creation.
Each time I went, there was like a whole spiritual as well as physical rejuvenation.
We are one. The world, we are one. And I think Cape May Point helped us to realize that. It brought us to the beauty of creation and the beauty of one another in so many ways.
I always look back on that as like such a grace time because, again, I experienced that, which is such a blessing.
That's the one place where you see unconditional love, that you're loved every day. You never have to question it.
I always looked forward to going to Cape May for retreat because I knew that it would be a time to be, spiritually renewed, physically renewed. And when you know that's going to happen, you just look forward to it even more often.
There's something elusive about St. Mary's. That once it gets into your heart, you can't put words on it.
I know you want us to talk today, but not to have to talk was a gift, because it just helped you see things clearer, Cape May does that, you know, because the fog, sometimes your daily life, it just becomes like foggy, and you need to see a different perspective, and that's what retreat helps you do.
And I think just the quietness of the place, if just walking the streets on retreat, just the stillness.
It was a quiet that was healthy, you know, that you wanted to be quiet because it was just nourishing, you know, not to have to talk.
Sparked me, I guess, for the rest of the year.
And a lot of women will say, you know, I'm going down to retreat, you know, and it's just, sister, it's a silent retreat? Yes, silent retreat. You don't talk? No, you don't talk. For 7 days, you don't talk? No, you don't talk. How do you stand that? I said, that's why we go down there, you know? And it's like, as Georgette said, it could be 250 people here, but it was just you and God.
I loved the retreat time because everyone had to be quiet. You know, we were all asked to be in that quiet mood, but I loved the quiet mood, and because it then brought me back to my own prayer time, my own retreat moments, but it just reminded me of walk slow, walk with God, just walk gentle.
There was just holy ground, and it just kind of moved over the years from a monastic type of experience where everything was always quiet and it was you and God, to a place where it involved more community.
St. Mary's grew from being just like this retreat house for Sisters of St. Joseph to this national retreat center that just happens organically on its own.
People, sisters from California would come to Cape May sometimes. People knew about Cape and would come and really flock there because of the beauty of it, what it called forth from us.
You see God really, really working. It's like right in front of you. You see God moving, you see the person changing.
And isn't it lucky that it's in our holy rule that we have to make a retreat once a year? Wouldn't everybody love to have to make some kind of retreat once a year?
It's such a place of healing and reconciliation, and that the Spirit's just here and can continue to be.
I think finding God and getting to know God in a much deeper way, that when I left, I knew I was taking God with me, and it was giving me all that I needed to be the best sister of St. Joseph I could be.
And it was a beautiful starlight night. It's probably 9 o'clock. And I thought, you know what? There has to be a God. Like, how could this be without a God?
If you loved this place and cherished it because of what it has done inside you and for your own spiritual self and your own life, it touched my mind and my heart and really my whole being. It fed me for a long time. It really shaped me, in other words. So it was all worth it, and it is wonderful to see that it wasn't forgotten and demolished.
So finding God in all things was not always the topic of the retreat, but it was always something before us to look forward to. And the sacredness, the quiet of the walls of St. Mary always spoke to me of all who have gone before us.
The Cape May Point Arts and Science Center represents the next chapter for the building that was St. Mary's by the Sea Retreat House.
Cape May Point is an ideal spot. Nature just beams at you every place you turn. We realized that we were coming toward the end and we needed to think about what would happen to this building if we left it.
I mean, we were closing schools, they're closing parishes, so it's just the time, and that could we really maintain this?
Whatever was needed to keep the place going as much as we could, we did.
We had to face the fact that this was really a big building to care for. And we had many meetings, many tears, you might say, facing the reality that it wouldn't be ours anymore.
What was going to happen with this beautiful building that offered us so much?
We did not want developers coming in, tearing it down, and putting up houses.
I'm a mathematician, okay, let me just tell you that. So I knew there was a lot of emotional impact, but I did understand the financial part of it.
Naturally, when we had to leave, I felt bad in another way. But practically, I just knew that it was just a lot of money that I just felt bad about. And maybe that's because I'm a child of the Depression, I don't know.
Oh, and then what really brought it to a head was the pandemic.
On one hand, I can see that we need this, but on the other hand, it was like, wow, this is going to be a big piece of our history that we're losing.
You just wanted it to stay the same. You didn't want it to change.
The stipulations that we made was if somebody wanted to use it for a good purpose, wonderful. If not, we would take the responsibility to let it go back to nature. And Bob saw the beauty of the house and what it stands for and its history.
I feel really good about it because I think we're just expanding knowledge of God's wonderful world in a different way.
And as the Cape May Science Center now, there's actually an opportunity for someone to study why are all of these beautiful creatures coming through our property and our land as they have been for so many years.
It's a good thing that someone with values that coincide with the sisters and our congregation and what we feel and think and our land ethic and all of that.
Oh, it gives me new life, and I just am happy. I'm happy it's what it is.
Grateful beyond words that she is still standing now as the Arts and Science Center.
And we are so thrilled at what Bob is doing with this house.
As we continue to devastate this planet the way we do, something like this is sorely needed.
She's breathing new life into efforts that people have been trying to make more of, in the sense of being able to really have a place where they can watch butterflies and they can observe dolphins and they can keep track of the birds and the ocean tides and all that to help better understand what's happening to our Earth.
I'm privileged to have been here, a part of this for 58 years. And I'm privileged to also know that it's handed on to another generation of real lovers of the earth.
I see it as a continuation of what we started here in a new way. And it's so needed in our world today.
I can let this go, because it's going now to not necessarily a greater good, the same good, but in a different way.
So I would hope that they would continue to do good things to make the world a better place for the next generations to come.
There's such tremendous shoulders that you stand on now as the Science Center begins its journey and its history here, and it'll be a wonderful history.
When we made the decision to pass the house to Bob and the Arts and Nature Center, that was one of the things that I really grieved, was not being able to see that group of people, finish those relationships one more time.
Every summer was a delight to be here.
And being able to be back provides closure.
And it's been a good reconnection with people and telling stories and just walking the halls and looking in places to see the change, which is good, but sometimes hard.
I walked in and I could not like it because I felt the same spirit.
I'm happy that right now it is being left alone, and those that are running it and taking care of it are making sure that the Sisters of St. Joseph are going to be remembered there.
The sisters reflect on their legacy and how they would like to be remembered.
I think I just wanted to say thank you for what the Cape May Art and Science Center is doing and providing, and for your overall sensitivity to us.
And I'm grateful you're telling our story. I'm glad you're sharing who we are.
I am who I am because of my days here.
To hear the presentation that was given to us about the Science Center, about the history of this house, is just so amazing to think that we were attached to the Underground Railroad, that now with the younger college students coming in, also with their studies with the earth, oceanography, and whatever else that they're all doing, it's just such a beautiful thing that we all have some connection via this house.
The many people that have gone through here, I mean, when you talk of the sisters ahead of us, and the sisters around our time, so many of them, and the sisters behind us, so many have made retreats here, so it actually is holy ground when you think of it. That's what I would like people to know.
We had 200th anniversaries. We had the 100th anniversary of the building itself, which of course was the Shoreham Hotel in the beginning. Then we had the 100th anniversary of our presence here. And that's where this theme came from. Ocean of Grace, Tides of Transformation.
You know, the 4th of July parades that would come down the street, and the sisters would all go out and, you know, greet the parade, and, you know, the lighting of the candles around the Assumption.
60 years, I guess, I've been coming. Of course, there was so much that was done before I ever even knew the sisters. It was a wonderful legacy to inherit.
It's still that feeling of turning that corner back in the 60s and seeing that glow.
It reminds us of who we are and what we are about.
Such a tribute to everyone who went before us and the prayer that existed in this place for over 100 years. The 100th anniversary was a block party. We invited family and friends, and that was the first time many people had really seen the house.
I love the fact that there are different pictures of our beginnings at going up the stairs. I think that is, it's just a way to memorialize what was.
So it's been a very filling and fulfilling life.
We were blessed to have it, very blessed.
To share one specific memory, tying this all up is tough, but my experience of these 3 days will be a wonderful memory going forward.
And I'm so happy to be able to take back some of the photos I have and the memories of this time to share with so many other people who love Cape May too.
Of all the people that have gone before me and all the people that are going to be here after me. It's a good feeling.
Beautiful, happy place to be.
Remember that each person is important, that it's love of neighbor without distinction, that there are no limits or no divisions or hierarchy of who is important.
A presence of God in our world. that's what I hope we bring to the world, that as people remember us, they remember that God was present in us and we brought the face of God to the world.
I would just like people to remember that, you know, for a time when we were here, it was sacred ground and it continues to be sacred ground.
I would hope that our mission, without being expressed in words, would be evident from what we did.
It was a wonderful gift to be. It wasn't work. It was not work. It was all a gift. It was a gift for me, and I haven't really thought about it for a long time. Yeah, but it's wonderful to remember.
I would like us to be remembered as caring for the earth and caring for each other.
They're not losing us either. That the continuation of the Sisters of St. Joseph's spirit will always be here.
It's been a blessing, and I will forever be grateful.
I'm very proud that I was able to be part of this legacy here. I have witnessed beautiful change, and so much of what the Science Center stands for is picking right up on our legacy.
Had we known that 2019 would have been our last summer, that would have been hard all summer. And I am so happy to be walking around town, in the house, in every part of the house, because it just, my spirits are here, and they probably will be for a long time.
On the road to Cape May, I fell in love with you. On the road to Cape May, all of our dreams came true.
It comes full circle with a prayer and some closure.
And now, Sister, quite appropriately in this holy place, and it's just so appropriate that as she says this prayer, being back for the first time, that at the same time we're releasing butterflies and hummingbirds into the air. And you think in this world right now of such angst, and no matter what side you're on or where you are, how much nervousness and angst it brings in your life. But a place like this can bring you peace. And we just thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much, Sister, for this invitation. Thank you.
As Sisters of St. Joseph, who first called this our summer home in 1909, we are called to live in harmony with all creation and to be stewards of the earth. What a gift it is that you know that same call and mission, and that we could pass this legacy on to you. And so we pray. God of wild beauty and quiet wonder, we ask for your blessing on this gathering, on this beautiful night, this gala, that it may be filled with joy, inspiration, and a deep sense of gratitude for the gifts that surround us. May our hearts always be open to the beauty of nature and the creativity of the arts, and may we be inspired to take action to protect our planet for future generations. We give thanks for the abundance of the earth, for the talents and gifts of scientists and artists who enrich our lives, and for the community of sisters and friends who support us in our mission. May our gala be a reflection of the love and care we have for the world around us, and may it inspire others to join us in our efforts to create a more sustainable and just future. In a world that often moves too fast, may we notice what is good. In a world full of noise, may we listen well. And in a world aching for connection, may we remember that love is always the point. May our tables be long enough to stretch toward difference and wide enough to make room for grace. Amen.
Thank you very much, Sister Karen.
There we go. Come on. You keep doing. Whoa, there you go.
Made possible by funds from the New Jersey State Historical Commission, New Jersey State Council on the Arts, the Cape May County Board of County Commissioners, and the Cape May County Division of Culture and Heritage.